Well, my mom was the original owner of Royal LePage Benchmark. And in fact, she started in real estate in 1978 when she moved to Calgary from Montreal and thought this was a better career than being a nurse. And so she raised us being a realtor. And so later on, I did work in the office. In fact, I always tell the realtors I've worked every job in the office. And so, you want to know about administration, I've done that. Conveyancing, probably shouldn't have, but I've done it all. And I went to university, got a degree in poli-sci, and there was really nothing to do except for potentially going back to school. And at the time, I thought, well, maybe I'll open a marketing agency within the office. So I opened a little marketing company, and I got us our first, this is going to date me, but I got us our first email, our first website. And I thought, well, maybe if I got my license, then I could do more for the agents. I could offer more services. But after I got my real estate license, my mom was sitting there twisting my arm and said, why don't you try being a realtor? So I knew you can't try, right? You've got to put everything into it. If you want to survive in this business, you've got to work very, very hard. So I did, 2 years in, I figured it out. I took a bunch of courses and did very well. And sold real estate full-time for 12 years before my mom partnered with me. Oh, it was fun. My mom, she is a force. So she was a female owner of real estate in a real estate brokerage in the 80s and 90s. And at that time, you would think that things have progressed quite a while, but I mean, she really was, the one carving the way for people like myself, women like myself, following her in her footsteps. And so she competed with the guys out there that owned real estate brokerages, and she was one of the guys. I mean, she was on every real estate committee you could think of. She sat on tons of different boards and really became a leader in the community. And she was someone that I really admired and was very lucky to have someone like her mentor me through the business. So we had a lot of fun together. Like any other industry, there are some good wins in terms of leadership, but also too, I think that there are still some ways of dealing with women that I think are dated. Right? And mostly when you run up against men who think that they can run over you or bully you. And thankfully, that's not as often. And I think that women now too are way more aware and sensitive of the issues that have been brought forward. And I think that they take bigger stances. And I like to believe that hopefully I set the standards for a lot of women out there that want to be leaders. I've been in leadership positions ever since I started in this business. And I really say to women, you know what, you have a voice. You just need to raise your hand and be heard, right? And I think that, if I were to say something about our genre, is that we probably don't speak up enough. Right? And I think if we did more of that, then perhaps we'd be heard more often. I love the restaurant scene. I think that we have an incredible restaurant scene in Calgary, and it really has grown over the last 20 years. Some of the top places to eat in Canada are right here in Calgary. I love the fact that people are so friendly, and that there's so many people that are in Calgary that are not originally from Calgary, and so they're always willing to connect and to help other people. I love the fact that we're an hour away from the mountains. It's very family friendly. There's a lot of young people that live in the city that choose to raise their family here, and so there's a lot of energy. And the fact probably too is that it's an entrepreneurial city, that anything goes, right? If you want to start a business, people will rally around that. There's lots of good funding for starting your own business. I think that we're in an environment where the taxes are in the favor, for the most part, of the owner, of the entrepreneur. And so that's some great things I love about Calgary. About 220. When my mom and I partnered back in 2007, 2008, we had just about 60 agents in one location. And if you remember what happened in 2008, you know this because the oil and gas world, is that our market tanked. Yeah. And with the energy market tanking, so did real estate. And so it was a really hard time. We had a number of agents that walked out the door to a competitor. We had to really evaluate the way that we ran our business. And so with that, we were in a position where we were definitely feeling vulnerable. And so what happened is that I talked to some colleagues across the country, some other Royal LePage brokers, and they really inspired me to get out there and talk to some of the brokers that were looking to maybe sell their companies, that they were in a position to do so. So I picked up the phone one day and phoned one of our Royal LePage competitors and said, hey, I heard that you're looking to maybe sell. Is that something you're interested in doing? Next thing I know, we're meeting at the keg, drinking red wine, and on one piece of paper, within a couple of meetings over red wine, we came up with an agreement for me to buy my first company. So with that, we increased our agent count by about 25, 30 people. And then I did it again a couple of years later, and then increased it again till about 90 people. And then what happened was we had a sister company in 2015 go under, unfortunately. Some people might know Royal LePage Foothills. And with that, we had about 45 agents that moved to our company during that time. And I took over another location. And so all of a sudden now we were at 130 agents. I like to grow with responsibility and sustainability. And so making sure that we have the infrastructure in place to make sure that we're growing in a way that we can still help and support all the agents. And we're making sure we look after the agents that we have while still making sure that we're growing. Because if you're not growing in this business, you're dying, right? I travel. Probably the number one thing I do for fun. It's something that my parents really instilled in us as teenagers, to go and explore the world and learn about how other people live. I love to be active, so I would rather be outside than inside any time, as long as it's not too cold out. So I like being in the outdoors, and have a new love for hiking. Just did an amazing trek in Ecuador with a group of Royal LePage colleagues across the country, and we were raising money for shelters that protect mostly women and children fleeing from domestic abuse situations. And so we raised almost $1.7 million, and that's something that was really close to my heart. I love going to yoga. I love going for walks. I love to be active, and I love socializing. I like hanging out with my friends and going to restaurants. I think that we're one of the few countries that knows how to manage our resources in a sensible and economical way. And so I believe that we're the country to host that energy for the rest of the world. One of the exciting things about what's happened recently with Alberta and seeing the economy bounce back, we were pretty much, launched out of our recession with COVID. And it's been a really great opportunity to see Calgary and Alberta grow again, right? And see the energy business bounce back as well, right? As much as Alberta's diversified in a lot of good ways, I think will create some sustainability in the future. It's nice to see our oil and gas companies really in a place where they've learned how to manage their business in a way that's sustainable and successful. And with that, we're attracting people to move here again. So our realtors are trained and coached to become great realtors at helping people who are moving from out of town. And in fact, we've had a lot of great experiences in the last couple of years because we've dealt with so many people moving from Ontario and BC looking for some good job opportunities here. And so with that, I feel very proud that we're a company whose mantra is helping you is what we do. And all day long, we're helping people that are moving to Calgary, make them feel comfortable about living here, and some of our surrounding communities as well. We've got offices in Cochrane, Strathmore. We've just opened an office in Airdrie. And of course, we have an office in Fort McMurray too. And I feel really, really good about what's going to be happening in Fort McMurray in the next couple of years. I mean, they've gone through a lot, but it seems like they're turning a little bit into something that's a little more positive there. When I was selling real estate, my partner at the time, her and I actually had the opportunity through a client, to be able to connect with a small oil and gas company. And through that, we built an incredible relationship with their HR department and set up a system strategy on how we could help some of their employees that were being relocated to Calgary and some of the surrounding areas, and be able to make sure that they're looked after really, really well. So anytime that they had an employee who was considering moving here, they'd reach out to us to make sure that they were looked after. If there are any companies out there that are really feeling like they're getting some good attraction with attracting some good employees from outside the place, we're here. We can help make those people feel good about where they're moving to. Easy. They can text me, they can phone me, they can email me, even contacting just through Royal LePage Benchmark, our main line. You can find me that way too. So, and we're on Facebook, we're on all the social media platforms. You know how to get a hold of us.